Yeah. Sorry, no, I can't sing. Welcome back to another Purpose Served podcast episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. New listeners, this podcast is about improving and innovating the human experience. So, through that, whatever it is that you're doing, be the best version of yourself, while doing it. That's the vibe here. It's forever going to be the vibe here. That's the foundation. Um, and the goal is just simply to inspire you to create, or sustain what you're doing right now. If you're in the midst of, serving your purpose, you know, that's what's going on here. Um, we're gonna be touching on some stuff that was mentioned in the previous podcast episode, in regards to what's going on here at Purpose Served. Last podcast episode, I mentioned a couple of things. I mentioned talked about the alchemist Santiago, the whole journey, you're following your personal legend, and there's a couple of things that I mentioned in regards to well-being and certain things that's on the Purpose Served the website. All in all, I wanted to talk about that a little bit more today, that give you guys a better understanding of what we got going on here at Purpose Served, and in the future, what the plan is to help you guys out. That's a part of this right now. So all in all, right now on the Purpose Served the website, there's things that's being added to it literally every single day. To be quite honest, if you guys have been on the website, you'll see that there has been a roadmap added to the website. And once it's all said and done, this roadmap is going to be a way for you to break down your goals, and also break down your goals into actionable steps, 5 actionable steps. Shout out to Reagan. I gave her a shout out on this podcast so many times at this point. She was on this podcast at some point in the early days, but through her, it made me think of how I started my own podcast, and in general, how this can be beneficial to any goal that somebody got. So pretty much how I broke it down is within 5 steps. You can break down your goal into actionable steps to achieve this goal, and it's something that, again, that's been mentioned on this podcast for those of you, if this is your first time listening. And to recap that, the 5 steps, more so requirements to having a plan for your goal, plan of action for your goals, is, for one, you need a destination. 2, you need to establish the tools and resources that you need in order to make it to the destination. 3, is the time that is required of you to accomplish this goal or get to the destination. 4 is just simply being consistent, being persistent, making sure that you maintaining your progress to get you where you gotta go. And 5 is make the adjustment. So if you set this date for this destination and you ain't making it in a timely manner, change your approach. Don't change the destination, change the way that you went about going towards it. And this is a visualization to be quite honest. This is the hindrance with most people, including myself. You know what I mean? I don't ever want to throw out some vibe out there that I'm better than y'all, in a sense, or I know more than you guys, because I truly don't. And I stayed on here a decent amount that I really don't know nothing about nothing. I'm pretty much you guys' guinea pig to, personal development all across the board. And I had a vision, literally, just to break this down for me, you know what I mean? Well, for you guys through me. I had a vision when I started this, and the vision simply was to help people find their purpose. That was the vision. I didn't know how to execute that vision, you know what I mean? And this going back to things that I mentioned on here, ideas, man. They're cheap as shit. You can throw them out there all the time, and they don't mean anything unless you're putting them to action, you know. And that's when you see if this thing is going to be legit or not, you know. And oftentimes, people are going through these processes unconsciously, but how often are you doing these things intentionally for stuff that you desire to do or goals that you would like to see accomplished that you want to achieve yourself? Oftentimes, you know, we going through our days on autopilot, you know. Um, Breaking down that the roadmap, you know what I mean. That's the 5 steps for the plan of action. But before that point, a roadmap has to be established. Now, this is the real big visualization tool that we're using here at Purpose Served. So this has 3 requirements rather than 5. And this was mentioned literally in the previous podcast episode, but I don't know how much detail I went into it. I really don't. After I only listen to it, you know, this podcast when it's time to edit and upload it. Other than that, you know, it's in the world. Ain't nothing I could do about it. I don't really, you know, keep listening to my own stuff. I don't try not to do it. I just don't do it, you know, unless I feel a need to do it. But other than that, you know, I never really go back and give these things a re-listen unless I feel like a point in my life where I gotta hear myself give myself some good advice. Since, you know, I don't really do a good job of that all the time. You know, practice what you preach, Daryl. But with this roadmap, there's 3 requirements, and the first one being the vision, the second one being a destination, and the third one is the journey. You put all of these 3 together, and you make this roadmap. And the vision is literally, to put me in the context of this, the vision was to help people find a purpose. The destination was not figured out due to the fact that I had a vision. And I think that, you know, for most people, that's challenging for them because they had these vision, they had these dreams. And just to break down the vision is the dream, the goals, the aspirations, like the purpose intended. You know what I mean? And there's a difference between the vision and the destination. I'm going to get to that soon enough. But going back to the vision is like I said, it's not seen yet. You know, it's in the unseen world. And this is when I talk about, you know, your thoughts, your emotions. That's a part of that unseen world. People express these things, but the root essence of that thing itself you don't see. You know what I mean? People communicate that. They verbalize it. They show it through their actions, through their words, the way they express themselves. But you can't see the thoughts and you can't see the feelings. You know what I mean? You see them through the expression, but not the thing itself. You know what I mean? And the vision is essentially the same thing. You can't see the vision itself, just like the thoughts and the feelings. And ultimately, like I said, it's a very, very, very powerful source. And at the end of the day, it's the seed to who you are. You know what I mean? When you were born, the seed of who you are was already programmed into you. Even though you had your little baby face with your baby eyes and your baby nose and your baby fingers, 25 years down the road, you were not going to be that same human being. You're going to develop as time goes on. You know what I mean? And in essence, you have to look at your dreams, your values, and your goals literally in that same regard. And you have to go from a place of taking it from that unseen world and bringing it to the seen world. And that's the biggest point of emphasis here at Purpose Served. How do you go from bringing this thing from the unseen world and bringing it to real life? You know what I mean? And that's when the destination comes into play. That's the realization of the vision. That's the vision realized. You know what I mean? It's no longer, you know, or thought or feeling. It's a real thing that needs to be manifested. And that's the second requirement. So now, with me, as the equation, or not even an equation, the example of this, going back to the my vision when I first started it, the vision was to, like I said, inspire people to create, inspire people to find a purpose, inspire people to be the best version of themselves and whatever it is that they're doing. Actively seek that. And this triggered things in myself. I didn't know how I was going to go about doing that, but I knew I had to go through with doing it. You know what I mean? So then I had to ask myself, you know, what does this physically look like? You know what I mean? And thanks to, you know, my boy Steve, man, my right hand, my brother, man, mentioned somebody that I mention on this podcast all the time. I'm going to get him on here one of these days, man. But he's the person that made my logo for me. You know what I mean? And oftentimes we have conversations, man, and I just be telling him that, you know, through him, you know what I mean, I was able to create a platform, but not only that, people are able to see what he's made, you know what I mean, everywhere, like, you know what I mean, like, not everywhere, we still got some ways to go, you know what I mean, but bigger than a local radius, you know what I mean, like, you know, all across the country and outside of this country as well, people have seen the Purpose Served logo, and I didn't make that, you know what I mean, he did, but he was the person that inspired me to create this platform to make a podcast, and I didn't want to do it. I was hesitant towards it, and I was resistant towards it because it kind of didn't align with that vision, so it seemed at the time, you know, and also the fears that I mentioned on here, you know what I mean, being in front of a camera shy, you know what I mean, get me real anxious, give me anxiety, B, word up, but I had to get past that. I knew I had to get past that, and I never really had a problem with me personally dealing with fear. When I felt fear, the craziness in me was always go towards that fear. Look at straight in the eyes, and if it destroys you, it destroys you. If it consumes you, it consumes you. But, you know, just to backtrack off this roadmap a little bit, throughout the years of me growing up, that's a lot of reasons why at this moment I don't have an issue, you know, taking risk, because, you know, I'm so used to just taking risk regardless, just simply for the wrong reasons, you know, and oftentimes that put me in situations, you know what I mean, where it was a lot of fear involved, but I simply didn't give a shit, to be quite honest. And I'm still like that to this very day. You know, that's why I don't really, when that situation arose, I knew I was going to do it. You know what I mean? And even with the rollout and the launch of Purpose Served, you know, on my personal Instagram, you know, I recorded a video, and it took me like 3 days to record this video, to be quite honest. That was another super uncomfortable thing, you know, and due to the fact that, you know, how I carried myself in my life and how certain people viewed me, you know, I'm just like, yo, man, what are people going to think and all that? But of course, that got silenced real quick. And once I did upload it, I got, you know, so much support right away. You know what I mean? And I was extremely surprised, but that's beginner's luck. That was another thing that was mentioned in The Alchemist, the book that I mentioned by Paulo Coelho, that he talked about that, you know what I mean? The first time you go towards your dream, you know what I mean? You're going to be met with beginner's luck. But then after that, your luck is going to, you know, run dry. And it takes a knowing. It takes a deep knowing and an understanding of your vision for it to guide you, you know? And that was the first destination. So the vision was to inspire people to serve their purpose. And the destination was doing that through the podcast. So once I have a podcast and uploaded a podcast, that is the vision realized. You know what I mean? At first, it still was like some ways to go. But this is the first initial steps for those of you guys that's like having trouble of conceptualizing a plan of action for your destination, for your vision. And the third requirement, I just mentioned the first two. The vision is the idea, the ideals, the vision, the values. and the dreams, the aspiration, the goals. The destination is all of those things realized, manifested in physical reality itself. That means that you have to go through a process of grounding yourself in reality to bring this thing into fruition. And that's where the third requirement comes into play. You have to go on that journey to bring that vision to its destination. You know, that's the walk you have to take. That's the walk that we are all on. And that's something that we're all on together. And I'm going back to what I was talking about probably like 10 minutes ago is people unintentionally use these three things every single day. The vision, the destination, and the journey. There's two examples that I can use of this that's going to help you figure this shit out in under a minute, to be quite honest. If you had a vision for going to work, if I ask you how are you getting to work or how are you getting to school, where's your thoughts going? If you already have a job and you're already working and you're already in school, you know what I mean? That first question is if you're not working and you're not in school. But if you're already there, right, and you're already doing these things or did these things, you already thought about the way you went about going to school or work. You know the reason why you're going. That's the vision. The destination is that place itself. The journey. So, for example, the journey would be if this was, you know, at nighttime and you got work tomorrow morning. You got school tomorrow morning, right? The journey is you going from your house to that establishment, you know what I mean, to that destination. But ultimately, that's the unconscious way to go about that roadmap that everybody use every single day, going to work, commuting, you know what I mean, autopilot, not really thinking about the directions that, you know what I mean, that you're on. You're so used to it. Not conscious. Your brain is slipping, thinking about God knows what while you're sitting in traffic driving to work. Or if you're going to school, you know what I mean, that the whole process, mundane, you know what I mean, you can lose track of the mission of why you're there in the first place. Now, imagine using this with intention every single day towards, you know what I mean, what you have going on. That is the goal. That's the trick. That's the trick of staying in this every single day. You know what I mean? And that's the trick of, you know, always being mindful, always being aware when you know that, you know, every day that you're living is intentional. You know, really, really intentional because you feel like doing it, not because you're forced to do it. Everybody's in these situations because a matter of force when, you know, life make you feel like you got to do these certain things, you know what I mean? Which you do. Got to be grounded in responsibility. You know, that's why the destination is set in place, but ultimately you got to use that vision to guide you and make the right decisions and make the right sacrifices to get to this destination. And that's the journey. You're on that journey no matter what. That third requirement, and essentially the journey is, you know, going from point A to point B. And a lot of that is going to be involving you expressing yourself. This is when, you know, that output, things that people see. This is when people can see your thoughts. People can see your actions based off of the way that you're expressing yourself. And this has to be an intentional act. You know what I'm saying? This has to be very, very intentional. If you're looking to do something of noteworthy success or something that you truly, truly care about, there has to be intention at play. You know what I mean? No matter how you slice that pie, you know, you can't come across things unintentionally. Like I said, I mentioned this on here as well, where a lot of these things came about unintentionally. It wasn't my intention to, you know, have my own business like I'm doing right now, and all the stuff that I'm cooking up and all that. It wasn't the vision. Literally the main focus and the main priority was basketball. And the priority is still basketball in a sense, but not really, you know what I mean? The world bigger than a ball. But I literally I love the game to death, man, and it brought me so much joy. It brought me so much life lessons. That's like, you know what I mean, that I'm using still to this day. You know what I mean? Without having a degree, dropped out of college 2.5 years in, barely got through high school, but yet and still I'm here. Yet and still I'm doing this. So it's not a matter of chance. All these things was meant to happen, for a reason, and it's just me noticing all of these things. But through this roadmap, going back to it, um, it helped me along the way, and I unintentionally, just like, what I was talking about not too long ago, I was unintentionally using this roadmap to guide me to achieve my basketball goals, you know what I mean, of, pursuing a professional basketball career and being a professional basketball player. I, I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have the guidance to do it. And I had to go through that process, and it was a bumpy, lonely road. But through that, I've met people, companions, and everything that guided me along the way, blessed me with tools and all of that. I wouldn't. It's two people, Steve and I mentioned, and one person that literally directly, sparked this thing right here. And that's Sean Mills, CEO and founder of Pure Passion Sports, in Orlando, Florida. I'm actually going to be out there, in January for a basketball event that he's having, participating in it, to get back in the mix. But yeah, if it wasn't for him, this would have never been about, And before that point, the pandemic hit. Keem was on here, Ty Keem. I worked with him at Planet Fitness, and my life was the gym. I would work at Planet Fitness, go wherever I need to go play basketball, whether that be Las Vegas, Puerto Rico, North Carolina, and I was training kids as well. So it was the gym, training, playing basketball, clockwork. And then the pandemic happened. March 15th, 2020, changed my life. Everything, the plug got pulled, and ultimately I was thinking around that time, did I make the right decisions by following my dreams, by following my aspirations? And it was a dark place, man. And I know that was for a lot of y'all too around that time. And I wanted to come out of quarantine reinvented. I wanted to change myself completely and have a stronger foundation, stronger basis for what I'm trying to do and where I'm trying to go. This is March 15th, 2020. So everything that I built up, it got destroyed. It's no longer there. And around that time, I was trying to play on the Delaware Blue Coats. I got cut 2019 NBA G League. And my mindset was headed in that direction, even though I got cut. Crazy. I know. But yeah, that was the mindset, you know what I mean? And then once all of that came crumbling down on me, I'm talking to people, on the training staff, and just trying to squeeze my foot in there somehow, some way. It wasn't working, but I was trying. And once that did happen, I knew I still wanted to play basketball. And I was like, all right, Daryl, we're going to go about this yet again, man. We're going to go about this yet again. And, a couple months later, that's when Sean, August, me and Sean connected with each other. And he blessed me with the wisdom and, a way to start looking at things while I'm playing basketball and outside of basketball. And that completely shifted my mindset, to be quite honest. It shifted my mindset to start thinking, outside of myself, start thinking about the world that's around me, because it was really, really selfish before that point. I was just literally trying to compete at the highest level and be better than I was yesterday. And it's a straight competition. I'm just trying to put myself in the thick of things and prove myself to myself, because I was just so used to doing that. Real life situations put me put me in that vibe, you know what I mean? And ultimately, going forward from August of 2020 to right now, day before Thanksgiving, um I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed to have the people that are doing my life and the guidance systems that I do in my life to be able to put all of this together to present it to y'all. And there's so much more to come. It's so much more to come. And I've been telling y'all this for a while now. This is just the beginning, man. For real. This is only the beginning. And um I just sometimes, man, I go through the day and I be in awe, man, about what's going on right now. There's a lot of crazy, chaotic shit going on, but at the same time, there's there's people trying their best. There's people creating beautiful things, beautiful works of art. People out here helping people on major scales, and I'm seeing it and hearing it, and I can feel that people truly care, but they just don't know how to go about, doing that and serving others, in a really, really general sense. A lot of the stuff that I'm talking about is more so people use it for self-serving reasons to serve themselves. People use this to manipulate other people. People use this type of thing to take as much as they can from somebody else. You know what I mean? By taking that high ground. You know what I mean? So don't fall in the trap of people's fame. Don't fall in the trap of what people have. Don't fall in the trap of, you know, the rat race. You are a unique individual, man. Every last one of y'all, man. And y'all has something to offer to this whole entire world that you just got to tap into. You know, a butterfly wasn't always a butterfly, and that's how you got to look at yourself sometimes, especially if you're being too hard, too critical on yourself. Have a little bit of faith. Trust yourself, you know. Trust the whole operation of everything around you, and that is bring you closer to who you truly, truly want to be, who you truly need to be. Me having faith in you guys ain't good enough. What's going to be good enough is y'all having that faith within yourselves to trust and guide you along the way. And with that being said, that's going to be talked about on the next podcast with me going in detail with something that I mentioned previously about the purpose served pyramid, and going forward, the Cole system of how to integrate your purpose into your community, into the world. But today I wanted to talk about, that roadmap, and the 3 requirements for that, and also the 5-step plan of action to get to your destination, to achieve the goal. Happy Turkey Day to y'all, man. Turkey Day tomorrow. Enjoy yourselves. Be with your family. Have a great time. Unwind. Relax. Eat good. Catch the itis. Check out. You know what I'm saying? I'm being good, man. Spending time with the fam. But from the bottom of my heart, man, I appreciate every last one of y'all that be tuning in, that be listening, even y'all that's new to this whole entire experience, man. I love y'all to death. Thank y'all for y'all time, y'all energy, and y'all support. Serve your purpose. Serving as an action, and treat the purpose as the goal. And we out. Deuces.